Late night in LA. The streets are quiet, the kind of quiet that only shows up right before something goes wrong. Two friends pull away from a studio session in Crenshaw. A rear-view mirror catches a red dot. Then two shadows start jogging toward the car with their arms straight out. A flash, another, 9 shots in total. One of those takes an unbelievable route, through the trunk, through the back seat, through the headrest, and stops everything. He's 26, he's famous, he's loved, and he never makes it home. How did one of TV's brightest young stars end up in the crosshairs on a regular LA block 5 miles from the glitz? He wasn't supposed to make it. Born premature in Manhattan on March 14, 1976, doctors gave him a coin flip chance. His Dominican parents refused to accept that. They named him after the wizard, Merlin, because surviving felt like a kind of magic. And he wore it proudly. Merlin the magician. That was his introduction. That was his energy. Washington Heights in the 80s wasn't a playground. It was real life. Sirens, hustlers, and parents praying their kids wouldn't get pulled under. Merlin had the kind of charisma that draws a room into orbit. At 3 years old, a talent agent told his mom, "That one's a star." He booked a national fast food commercial and never stopped moving. English and Spanish both in the bag, he doubled his lane and tripled his opportunities. But he was still a kid from the block.
What's hot? Hot Wheels. What's cool? Power Command Racers. This is how you set them up. Say the word to give them a blast. Look at them go. They're mega fast. Power Command Racers. You can race them, you can jump them, you can crash them into something. Power Command Racers from the deck. When you're ready to race, just give them a yell.
New Power Command Racers. Blow on them to make them go.
Power. So hot, so cool.
Right. New Hot Wheels Power Command Racers sold in 2-packs. Race sets sold separately. Some cars not for use with some sets.
His boys would post up outside, and when his mother came looking, they'd call his name like a fire alarm. He'd sprint up the stairs and be sitting in the house before she opened the door. Cool face, steady breath. The streets tried to claim him. His mom wouldn't let them. Acting became the shield. By 1990, he's on stage in Hey Little Walter. In the crowd that night, Bill Cosby. A few phone calls later, the writers invent Stanley, Rudy's boyfriend, just for Merlin. For a kid from Washington Heights, that was the golden ticket. Millions saw him every week, and he held his own next to TV heavyweights. People argued about what The Cosby Show represented. Some loved the image of a successful black family. Others said it sanded down the rough edges of the era. Merlin didn't care about the debate. For him, it opened doors. Roles on Getting By, hanging with Mr. Cooper, a spot on Sister Sister. Every new set meant another lesson, another step up the ladder. Merlin moves to LA as a teenager. North Hollywood is quiet, almost boring compared to Uptown. That's the point. When you're trying to make it out of the noise, boring is a blessing. He keeps stacking credits. He shows up on Mo Isha as Ohaji, this smooth-talking young dude who knows how to play his position. You could see it. The timing, the eyes, the charm. He didn't try to overpower a scene. He slid into it and made it feel better than it was written.
So I had the snitches, the red BMW drop top 325. This is like 1994. And Merlin Santana pulled up on me. He had the blue joint. He had the like electric blue drop top. And he pulled up and we back to back. He gets out, he's like, "Yo, what up, man? Woo, 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 woo. Yo, Onyx, woo, woo." And this is before Moesha, all that. So he's like, "Yo, I'm from the Cosby Show." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you didn't know the Cosby Show, woo woo." So we connected on 125, and I'm like, "Yo," so we chilling the whole chilling, smoking, whatever.
Harlem in the building.
So yeah, he's from Harlem too, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's from Harlem, so we chilling, you know, we got the same car, whatever. So boom, years later, I think it may like a year later, I get the job and do Moesha. The crazy shit is Merlin was on Moesha before me. He was playing, you know, the love interest before I got there. So when I got there, he got fired or whatever, and then he started doing the Steve Harvey Show. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was from New York. I met. Okay, woo woo. So everything is cool, you know what I'm saying? But then there was a little problem me and Merlin had, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why the problem happened, but me and Merlin, we had a problem, like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't like me for some reason, and it just got crazy. to make a long story short, we had a little problem in LA, you know what I'm saying? Never came to no physical. But I was living in a building called the Academy. And after we had the, talking shit back and forth, then moves in my building. So I'm in the elevator. He's in the elevator. I'm in the elevator.
Wow.
He in the elevator. We looking at each other like this. And we just started laughing like, yo, like, and then after that elevator incident, me and him got cool. I'm going to his crib in the apartment. He coming to my crib. We smoking weed. Everything was smooth. And that's how the shit ended. You know what I'm saying? And this is before, Merlin before he got killed in LA, man. Me and him was cool. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we had a special connection because we both was from New York and we was in LA doing this TV show. And signals got crossed, but we got cool. And that's real.
That set the table for the role that changes everything. A new sitcom is launching on the WB in August 1996, The Steve Harvey Show, about a former R&B singer turned high school teacher. Merlin walks in and makes Romeo Santana feel like a real person in your homeroom, flirty, funny, sometimes lost, always cool. He pushes for the character to keep Santana as the last name. He wanted a young Latino black look on TV that didn't fit the usual boxes. Representation, but with swagger.
Okay.
It was like 4 or 5 in the morning. And he just took a flight from LA to New York. That's like a 6-hour flight. Got there at like 11. Was up watching TV and drinking and all that bullshit with the family and shit.
Yeah.
And then I went to sleep because I was mad little, so I can't hold myself awake.
Yeah.
And when I went to take a at like 4 in the morning, he was yelling. I'm like, yo, why is this man yelling? So I walked to the bathroom, I looked, like, once I hit the corner, I looked. And he's sitting in the living room practicing his lines. Like the Steve Harvey Show line. I'm like, damn, bro, if you want something that's worthwhile, you gotta work harder than everybody else. I bet you nobody else would have did that. Any other actor would have went to sleep, I'm telling you. But he was so professional that when he went on set, he wanted to know his lines. Like, he wanted to know his lines. All that. And that's the type of person he was. He was a very hard-working individual.
Week after week, Romeo and Bullethead become the heartbeat of the student crew. He gets NAACP Image Award nominations. He gets recognized in airports and VIP lines. He starts to live like a star. But anyone who's done this knows the quiet fear that comes with a hit. The calls eventually slow down. Typecasting creeps in. The question becomes, what now? Fame can be loud. The silence after is louder. When Mo-Isha ends in 2001 and The Steve Harvey Show wraps after 6 seasons, the switch flips. One day you're getting waved past the rope. The next day the bouncer's squinting like he's never seen you. Merlin keeps working.
Merlin Santana, you're becoming a regular here, man, in Indianapolis, man. What's going on, man? What you up to?
I'm liking it, man. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm here for the support. So it's all for a good cause. I'm just happy to be here.
Okay. What are some of the up-and-coming things we can look forward to watching you in?
Well, the show is over, Steve Harvey Show. I just did a movie with De Niro and Eddie Murphy. It's called Showtime. It'll be out sometime next summer. So you can look out for that. As for anything else is in the future, I can't call it. Keep an eye out.
Showtime with Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro. Indie Projects features, but the rhythm changes. For the first time since he was 3, there's empty space in the schedule. So he pivots. Music. Writing hooks between auditions. Recording verses at a friend's home studio near Crenshaw. The creative itch needed somewhere to go. Back in New York, his circle included guys from the YTC crew around 107th Street on the Upper West Side. He was never the criminal type. No arrests, no wild headlines, but he was fascinated with the grit and the energy. He shouted them out in freestyles and the streets showed him love. That's the tension nobody talks about enough, trying to be 2 things at once. Hollywood shines from far away. Up close, it's lonely. The block is the opposite, messy and dangerous, but it makes you feel seen. Merlin lived in both worlds, chasing art and adrenaline at the same time. November 2002. Merlin's supposed to be in New York with family, but an audition keeps him in LA. He hits the studio at a friend's house in Crenshaw with Brandon Adams, the childhood actor you know from The Sandlot and The Mighty Ducks. They're laughing, recording, playing a little Madden on the game system, chilling. Just two dudes trying to figure out the next chapter. A couple nights earlier, they'd been at a Chinese spot near Crenshaw and Stocker. Two teenage girls slid into their booth, smiling like they'd just met prom kings. One of them introduced herself as Mercedes. She was charismatic, bold, and, for reasons that matter a lot in a minute, very good at pretending to be older than she was. Numbers got exchanged. Later that night, there was a link-up at Merlin's condo. Adult vibes. No promises made. Everyone went their own way after. On November 8th, rolling into the 9th, Mercedes calls the guys while they're at the studio. She pulls up around 11:30 p.m., and something feels off instantly. Head in her hands, pacing, dramatic sighs. Then a phone call to meet someone outside. She repeats the house number out loud. The room goes quiet for a beat. Brandon follows her out, low-key. He watches her slide into a champagne-colored SUV sitting dark with its lights off a few houses down. He tracks it for blocks, then heads back. Inside the house, nobody says it, but everyone feels it. This might be a setup. Here's the part where caution is everything. Reports say the girl calling herself Mercedes was actually Monique King, a 15-year-old runaway with a history of manipulation who had been bouncing through the system. Accounts from investigators say she phoned her boyfriend Damian Gates, known as Kid, multiple times between 1:58 and 2:03 a.m. What she told him, and this matters, is that she'd been violated inside that house. That claim would later collapse under evidence, but in the moment, it set a fuse. Gates and another man, Brandon Busy Bynes, were already circling the area. Statements from the case say they grabbed their weapons, parked near the house, and planned to hit. First on the house, then when they realized Merlin and Brandon had left on the car. Whether Gates believed the story or weaponized it, whether the pills and drink he'd taken made him reckless or just made him honest, is for the transcripts. What isn't in dispute is what happened next. A little after 2 a.m., across the street, two guys are talking to someone in a parked car. Brandon checks the mirror. The two guys start moving. Quick jog, hands up, barrel steady. The red laser reappears in the glass. Duck! The world collapses into noise. Shells hit the concrete. Tire rubber peels off the rim. Brandon floors it, swerving onto the main road with two flats, whatever's behind them. He looks over. Merlin's slumped. The car smells like metal and smoke. At Romeo and Crenshaw, a patrol car lights them up. Brandon waves the cop down. At the scene, officers find 9 shell casings from the same carbine. Only one shell hits a person, an impossible shot with an unforgiving path. At around 3 a.m., Merlin Santana is pronounced gone. Only 26. The work starts immediately. Phone records put Monique King as the last call. Merlin's best friend Brandon cooperates, tells them about the weird behavior, the SUV, the cold feeling in his stomach that he ignored until it was too late. Detectives ask him to set a meet, a jack in the box. She shows up, handcuffs close. At first she lies about everything, her name, age, address. She says she's 21. When they finally peel back the truth, she's 15, on the run from a juvenile facility. Her phone has Merlin's number and Gates' number saved. The timestamps match the timeline. The SUV they were riding in, traced to a relative's rental. A Yankees cap and evidence turn up during a search. The ballistics match the casings from the street. In interviews, Monique describes crying, hair disheveled, clothes torn, a story told to spark rage. Prosecutors later argued that whatever she claimed, the travel time, the weapon grab, the parking, the laser, the 9 separate trigger pulls, those steps are premeditation, not a heat-of-the-moment mistake. Damian Gates takes the stand and says he blacked out in fury when he heard what supposedly happened. He says the weapon was faulty, stuck on automatic. Investigators counter that spent casings show single pulls, not a jammed spray. He says it was passion. Verdicts drop heavy. Gates, first-degree unaliving, attempted unaliving. 3 life terms plus 70. Bynes, voluntary manslaughter and assault with a weapon, 23 years. Monique King, tried as a juvenile. Second-degree unaliving, attempted unaliving, held until 25 years of age. In the courtroom, a mother's voice breaks. She talks about getting through each day without her firstborn, The miracle baby doctor said wouldn't live. The boy who once told his parents he'd be their guardian angel. His father told him not to say things like that. Merlin just smiled and said he meant it. To some, the location said everything. Crenshaw. After midnight, studio session. A pretty face with a fast number. Friends from the Steve Harvey Show remembered the charisma and the jokes. William Lee Scott remembered something else, that Merlin was fearless to a fault. He went where he wanted, stood how he wanted, and didn't bend for anybody. That defiance is what made him electric on camera. It's also what put him in rooms and on blocks that didn't deserve him.
I gotta be honest with you. I was not 100% surprised when I heard Merlin had passed away. He was super talented, but he was wild. And he was not, you couldn't tell him what to do, you couldn't tell him where to go. He wasn't afraid of anyone or anything. The details of his passing. It's like something out of, like a film. Yeah.
That's the paradox men in their 20s live with. You want to prove nothing scares you, but the world doesn't care about your courage. It only needs one moment when you're tired, distracted, or feeling yourself to teach a lesson you don't get to repeat. Rumors circulated after the case, whispers about the street circle in New York, about how a shout-out in a freestyle turns into an energy you can't control. Here's what's fair. Merlin loved hard. He loved family. He loved the craft. He loved the vibe of the city, both coasts. He loved the feeling of being in the mix. None of that equals criminal. None of that justifies a lie that turned into a hunt. Hollywood responded the way Hollywood does, tributes, tears, gone too soon headlines. But for the people who knew him, it wasn't a soundbite. It was an empty chair, a phone number you don't delete, and a silence in the group chat you feel every birthday. This wasn't a mystery whodunit. It was a lesson in how fast one lie can set a city on fire. When someone throws out an accusation like a match, it doesn't matter if it's true to the wrong ears.
And it's not just in L.A. The nature of a female, I hate to say, is, you know what I mean? And why, I have no idea. You could be the realest dude, really into her, and she don't care about you, really. You know, she acting like she care because you got something she want or she trying to get up out of you.
People will build a whole war around smoke. It's also a lesson in distance. If you live in the middle of both worlds expect you to play by their rules. Hollywood wants you to smile on cue and sit still while they decide what box to put you in. The streets want you to stand on business, try to please both, and you end up paying rent in other people's expectations. And it's a lesson in timing, a different flight, a different audition date, a dead phone, a missed call, another 2 minutes in the studio. Any of those butterfly wing details, and we're telling a different story today. Strip away the headlines and you get a kid who survived from day one, learned to work before kindergarten, and treated the set like a second home. He wasn't perfect. He was 26. He had big plans, more film, deeper roles, maybe directing, definitely music. He pushed producers to see him fully, not just as a punchline machine. He made Romeo Santana feel like that one cool senior who gave you the head nod in the hallway and made your day. Off camera, he was kind, funny, real. No forced Hollywood smile, no weird diva energy. He dapped the janitor and the executive the same way. That's why people cry when they talk about him. Not because he was famous, because he was good.
Whatever's next, man, you know? I can't call it. Gotta ask the man upstairs.
Rumors suggest he was spending time with heavy hitters in New York who weren't in entertainment. Reports claim he dropped their names in verses because it made him feel connected to home. It's been said that image confused fans who still saw Romeo when he wanted to be taken seriously as an artist. That push-pull between perception and reality can warp a person's decisions. Here's the clarity. Speculation stays speculation. The case that ended his life was not about him living reckless. It was about a false claim that other people decided to answer with violence. The court records are clear on that part. The rest is noise. You keep the work, the scenes that still make people smile. You keep the example, how a bilingual kid from a tough block can end up in living rooms across America making jokes with Steve Harvey and Cedric. You keep the lesson, value your boundaries. Not every call gets answered. Not every invite gets accepted. And if a room doesn't feel right, leave before you're sure. For family, You keep more than that. You keep the last hug. You keep the laugh that only shows up in your memory at 3 a.m. You keep the promise he made, guardian angel, and you look for it when the day gets heavy. He told his parents he'd be their guardian angel. They told him not to talk like that. He smiled like he knew something. Maybe he did. Maybe that's why people who never met him still feel like they lost a friend.
So, before I tell y'all the story time, let me just show some random pictures. You feel me? So, that's Merlin right there, throwing up the west side, you feel me? With his Never Broke shirt on. That was like his little clothing brand. There, boom.
Merlin, no.
And boom. Okay. Him right there with the clothing brand jacket.
Merlin,
you already know.
No.
He look high right here. Merlin again,
look,
with his
look
mans
doggy.
in them and all that. Boom. Just pause it if I'm going too fast. And then
Merlin, look, doggy.
This is my dad right there. Like, and that's Merlin's tombstone type shit. Okay, so this is the story time, right? So Merlin's first birthday after he died, me and my family went there. It was like 10 of us. Small little gathering, right? Mm-hmm. And what we did was we went there to release 3 doves, right? And then something happened. I'm not superstitious, but sometimes there's no other explanation. You feel me? I always try to look for a real explanation, but this right here is something superstitious, right? So boom, this is me holding the dove, right?
Look how beautiful my baby look.
And I got on a Merlin jacket. That's an Averex jacket. You know, back in the day, Averex was like Pelly Pel. All right, boom. So that's the dove, right? Holding it. Okay. So I let the dove go. The dove is right there flying above my finger, boom. And then the dove is still flying right there. Okay. And then after it flew a little bit, it landed on the car that that Merlin bought for my father, right? Cadillac Escalade. Look at that white dove, right? So that's regular, right? That's not superstitious. Yeah, it's probably a coincidence, right? But when you driving, birds supposed to fly off, right? We driving.
Driving far.
Bird not flying off.
Yeah.
Then we on the highway. Bird not flying off.
Hold on.
So you feel me? That's a one crazy story that I wanted to tell y'all, and it was crazy because me, Corky, my father, and my mom, and LaShawn was in the car. So LaShawn was Merlin's girlfriend, right?
Ooh, yeah.
That he was gonna propose to. He bought the diamond ring, everything, and they put it in the jewelry shop to like make it fit and all that. But then, you know, he died, and then they called my mom, and being that my mom with LaShawn OD, out of all the girls he ever had, she gave it to him. Like nothing, like, yo, look, Merlin got this for you, boom. She was crying and all that. And then they was in the car crying, and we had family in another car following us, and we thinking that the bird flew, and they on the phone the whole time, like, yo, we're still on there, that's crazy, boo, boo. And yeah.
Truth. So if you're watching this on your couch, ask yourself what part of your life is playing both sides. What invite have you been saying yes to that doesn't love you back? What lie could be walking toward you pretending to be a blessing? Protect yourself like you're already famous. Move like you're already needed tomorrow. This is the rise, the setup, and the legacy of Merlin Santana. Merlin Santana wasn't just a character on a sitcom. He was a miracle baby, a working kid, a young star, a son, a father, a friend, an artist. He was proof that talent and heart can take you from a crowded apartment in Washington Heights to a soundstage in Los Angeles. And he's the reminder that one lie in the wrong mouth can take everything. If you loved him as Romeo, remember the man behind the punchlines. If you never knew him, learn the name and tell somebody younger why it matters. Share the work, share the warning, share the legacy. Because lights fade, headlines fade, but the real ones, somehow, they keep talking to us. And maybe that's the magic in his name. If you got to the end of this video, let me know how did you first heard about Merlin Santana's passing. Make sure to subscribe and check out our other videos where we take a deep dive.
This shit, man. He's a player hater. You understand? Como dicen los morenos, he's a player hater.
You play ball, Trinidad?
Basketball. No. I hate I like it.
So you're an old player?
I'm a player, man. You a player hater.
What's up with fumbles, man? What's up with your friendship with fumbles, man?
Oh, fumbles. Look at that fumbles. Fumbles, me like talk to fumbles right there.
I never had a complaint about the blade. Stay sharp. And I get your edges sharp plate. I tell you I cut with a straight razor. That's me. Old Rosie. Everybody know me. I cut with a straight razor, pimp.
Get the out of here. You need to cut yourself with a straight razor.
I keep trying to tell him let me hook him up so he could really look like Tony Soprano. Right now he over there looking like Guido. Like one of the Fraggle Rocks with an Italian or something. Ain't too much of that going around. He from the disco days. That's why his eyes ain't closed since he was 15. Boy been getting high off SPC, UPS, FedEx, all that shit.
Always talking mierda out of his mouth all the time, mierda, always talking blah 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 blah.
He had a little chemical accident back in his country. They was farming cigars. And he got caught up in the wrapping machine and they wrapped a whole cigar around his face.